I mean, that degree of manipulativeness and that degree of calculation and that degree of callousness suggests somebody who basically has a heart of stone. And I mean, that is, if you have ever read the Cleckley book on the Mask of Sanity, which is about the psychopathic personality, that sort of conduct is suggestive of somebody who has a degree of psychopathy in their makeup.
2024, and this is really hard to believe given their past few years, actually became a new low for Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Lady Colin Campbell, what was Harry and Meghan's lowest low of the year? And I know there are a lot for you to choose from.
Shall we start with Harry?
Yeah, let's start with Harry. What was Harry's worst moment?
Well, Harry's worst moment was, without a doubt, failing to retract the absolutely dreadful claim that Meghan set up in Omid Scobie's book Endgame, and the lengths to which they went to get out the accusation that the two racists were the King and Catherine. And I think his lowest moment isn't that happened, because there is some doubt, in my mind at least, as to whether he would have colluded with the revelation being made in the way it was made. I think that has Meghan's fingerprints all over it. I'm not sure it has Harry's. I could be giving Harry more credit than he deserves, but I think that's Meghan. But he has not once said, sorry, that's not true. He has allowed the accusation to stand. Of course, the fact, please, Dan, get rid of that glassy plastic face. I mean, it's bad enough that we have to look at Meghan, but to look at her clone, please.
Sorry about that. There's a little Christmas present for you.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but this wasn't a coincidence. Of course it wasn't a coincidence. I mean, Omid Scobie, that very odd little man, his credibility has been completely dashed this year, because you remember when Catherine was about to reveal to the world her cancer diagnosis after all of that bullying from the Sussex squad, he actually launched a countdown clock on X. And that shows you what type of cretinous, low-life individual we are dealing with, right? Imagine that. Imagine knowing someone's about to announce they've got terrible cancer, something that we knew, but we respected Catherine's decision to go in her own time, and he posts a countdown clock. It's just vile.
He's awful. He's awful. But he is Goebbels to Meghan's furor. But it's not behooved him. They thought that they were going to have this wonderful success, that everybody was going to leap on the fact that he made very racist comments in the book Endgame about this one is a white middle-aged man, so got him on 3 counts. Number 1, they're white. Number 2, they're middle-aged. And it's just bizarre. But you notice you've not heard a thing about him recently. The book tanked and he tanked. I know that he's on a gay dating website because some friends of mine's son saw him on it, and they sent it to me, and they said, guess who blah blah saw on the dating website? And there was Omid Scobie advertising his authenticity.
Gosh, that would put anyone off their Christmas dinner, wouldn't it? Okay, well, what about Meghan? What was Meghan's worst moment of 2024, Lady Colin Campbell?
Without a doubt, Dan, the fact that her father's 80th birthday came and went, and she knew that no male Markle had lived to 80 before, and her father said he would never live to be 80. And she completely ignored the birthday. She has not sent him so much as a safety pin or even a common pin. She has totally ignored it. And I'll give her friend Tyler Perry his due, because Tyler Perry has shown Meghan, if not the rest of the world, how decent people behave with estranged relations. Because Tyler Perry's father, official father, who used to mistreat him when he was growing up, even after Tyler Perry discovered that he's actually not his biological father, he still supports him. He won't speak to him, but he's got him a house, he gives him an income. And so Tyler Perry has shown, when you have been abused by your father, you still honor and respect the relationship. But Meghan hasn't done that. Meghan has taken everything she could from a loving father who literally bankrupted himself so that her dreams would be realized. And she has totally ignored any obligations that she, as a decent human being, would have to her father. And the whole thing, it has been such a stitch up, as you will know only too well, because, I mean, Thomas Markle Sr. basically believes that he was set up by Meghan from the word go. You know, the whole Jeff Rayner thing is highly suspicious, because Jeff Rayner works with and worked with Meghan before, during and after the setup with her father. And Jeff Rayner is the one who got in touch with Samantha to suggest and gave Samantha various undertakings. And Samantha talked her father into restoring his reputation. And the whole thing was a massive stitch up and setup. But even if it hadn't been, what's so terrible about somebody who is being introduced trying to restore his dignity? And is that enough to discard a loving father? So I think Meghan's shown us, and Tyler Perry is the perfect foil, that because you know he's supposed to be good friends with Meghan in quotes, but he has shown us and shown up Meghan, because there's no excuse for the way she has behaved towards her father. I think there's a very good reason, because she couldn't maintain the false facade that she has presented to Harry and have a relationship with her father. That's the reality of the situation.
But Lady C, that is a fascinating potential theory, that actually Meghan wanted Thomas Markle to fall before the wedding. She wanted to be able to accuse him of working with the paparazzi, because for Harry, she had manipulated Harry to the point where Harry would have decided that was a sort of terrible act that deserved Thomas to be thrust out.
Yes, yes. I think she orchestrated the whole thing. Well, her family thinks she orchestrated the whole thing as well. But I thought that she had orchestrated, uh, if not the whole of it, she had opportunistically used it. I thought this before I knew the family. Now that I know the family and know what their thoughts on the matter are, I mean, that degree of manipulativeness and that degree of calculation and that degree of callousness suggests somebody who basically has a heart of stone. And I mean, that is, if you have ever read the Cleckley book on the mass of sanity, which is about the psychopathic personality, that sort of conduct is suggestive of somebody who has a degree of psychopathy in their makeup.
Because the thing is, Lady C, we know that Meghan Markle had a very long history with the paparazzi before she entered the royal family. And the understanding now is that she still works with agencies like Backgrid. So why on earth would that be a reason to cut loose your father?
Well, she was looking for reasons, and she needed to create a reason, because if she hadn't created a reason, her father would have met Harry, and her father is straightforward, honest, garrulous, and he would have given the game away. And Harry would have realized that, hang on a second, oh, something is amiss here. This Boadicea, who has fought her way to the top, nobly working in pulling, making sodas in soda fountains at the age of 3 weeks old, and taking advantage of grants and blah blah blah, all the lies Meghan actually had unmitigated gall to stand up and tell the world in Fiji about how she had striven to achieve and taken advantage of all sorts of opportunities, and when they didn't exist she found them, and she did grants and jobs and all that, none of which she did, because her father has all the financial records to prove that he's the one who paid for her education from beginning to end. And even after she left university, he helped to pay for her flat, and that nonsense about the car, where the car was never in that condition, and you don't have to, in any event, if a door doesn't work, you don't have to enter through the back. You simply enter through the side door. I mean, her lies don't even make sense. But let's not forget that when I was writing my first Meghan and Harry book, there was a broadcast in January, sorry, where I think it was on ITV with Thomas Markle, and I was phoned up by somebody very close to me, is very closely connected to somebody very close to Harry. And so that was one of the conduits that they were using to feed me information, in the hope that I would write a positive book about them. And because they knew I was writing the book. And I was phoned up and told that the reason why Meghan couldn't ever reconcile with her father was that he used to interfere with her. And I was outraged on Thomas Markle's behalf. But of course, if I had been a less sensible person than I am, I could have put it in. There could have been a police investigation. I mean, can you imagine the way his reputation would have been destroyed? And God forbid that Meghan would have been interviewed and said, "Oh yes, I remember," or "I think I remember," and then all of a sudden I mean, it could have gone a totally different way. Instead of which, I simply put in what had happened and said that I didn't believe a word of it. Well, I always thought after that Harry must have believed what Meghan was saying. But then in the Netflix documentary, you could have bowled me over with a feather when Harry said, "But for me, Meghan would have a relationship with her father." That told me then and there that Harry knew that her father had never interfered with her, because why would Harry have destroyed the relationship, Harry's existence? Because if what I had been fed was true, whether Harry existed or not, Meghan wouldn't have wanted to have a relationship with her father. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Totally. I totally see what you're getting at. And we have to remember, Lady C, that she had published publicly the most glowing tributes to Thomas Markle, including on Father's Day. So it doesn't make any sense to suggest that she had somehow turned on Thomas, because she really hadn't. I mean, yes, Samantha has made it clear that when she became famous, she was embarrassed about her family, but she still publicly had a relationship with her father. But the thing is, there are just so many lies, aren't there, about Meghan's past, which is why you can't trust anything. I mean, in his book, Andrew Morton also revealed the fact that she had actually been obsessed with Princess Diana and read his book about Princess Diana, was very touched by the funeral, had obviously been to Buckingham Palace, but she managed to convince Harry that she knew absolutely nothing about the royal family and was in the same room as Prince Andrew and didn't even realise who he was. But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin, he said recently. Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So that he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like Photoshop for your face. You may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view, Lake told reporters. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. If this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, I'll be thrilled knowing I helped, Dr. Lake commented. The video has since gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then, it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. So far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. One viewer even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." Now, there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So just go watch the video, bhmd1.com/outspoken right now, or click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
Well, Harry rarely has to be thicker than anybody could ever have imagined, if he really believes any of that. You know, several people have told me that Meghan has used my posthumous biography, The Real Diana, as a template to play Harry, and several of the subsequent incidents are taken directly out of the book. I would prefer to think that's not so, but however, she is an arch manipulator, and you can't believe a word out of her mouth. But I have seen in other relationships that are evocative of Harry and Meghan's relationship, where a dominant, egotistical woman married to a weak, subservient mama's boy, even when he knows she is lying, on some level it doesn't really matter to him, because these relationships are usually quite sadomasochistic. So when the good is good, it's great. And when the bad is bad, it's awful. But the woman will well, if it's a mannequin as well, they will reel them in when their position is threatened by their behavior. And it's very befuddling to have to deal with somebody who suffers, well, somebody who has, they don't suffer from, they have narcissistic traits in their personality. And especially if they're a fully blown narcissist, which Meghan would appear to be of her conduct. You know, it's very befuddling, because you never know what they're going to come up with, and you never know what's true and what's not. And if you remain emotionally connected to them, you spend your life in a tumble dryer of befuddlement, really, because you don't know ever what's real and what's not. But as long as you are addicted to them, you are stuck with them. So,
But
the
Lady
only
C,
escape,
surely 2024 is going to go down as the year when Harry realised he had been played. Because it's so interesting looking at those pictures previously of the pure joy, the ecstasy. As you say, he's an addict, or at least he was an addict. And now the sort of body language you get between this couple are reminiscent of the dying days of the marriage of Prince Charles and Princess Diana in the early 90s. They can't stand to be around each other.
well, Dan, it's very convenient. It was very convenient, wasn't it, that Harry bowed out of the Tyler Perry Paley Award and went to New York to fulfill a promotional event on behalf of his paperback edition of Spare, and then said, you know, that his greatest ambition, and being naughty, is to be a good husband and father. Well, why did he not even send a message to Tyler Perry? I mean, these are valid questions, because he and Meghan were both listed on the program as being attendees at the Tyler Perry Paley Awards. And I have to tell you, I knew Bill Paley. I also knew Bay Paley. They had a house in Jamaica, and they had a wonderful place in New York as well. They actually had two places. They had one in town and a fabulous place in the country. Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but it had one of the most beautiful gardens on earth. And he must be spinning like a top in his grave to to see what his name is associated with, because Bill and Babe were absolute pictures of elegance, and everything had to be decorous, and everything had to be at the highest standard, and everything had to be, you had to be a true lady or gentleman in your demeanor. And Bill Paley must have spun like a top to see that cheap, vulgar hustler uh, go on the stage and then with her glue boots stick on the red carpet. And I mean, even when poor Tyler Perry was trying to blast her off with his aides, she refused to leave.
It was quite something. It was quite something. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.